Welcome to the Fireside Chat for Fitness and Nutrition with Adrienne and Ken. Today we're going to be talking about how to resolve low back pain and how to fight belly fat. Please remember to like and subscribe to our channel so you'll always get our newest content. Now, Ken, I know you have a lot that you can share with us today, so do you want to kick us off?
This is going to be good, yeah. So nobody likes back pain. It's estimated that 2/3 of adults, American adults, suffer from back pain at some point in their life, and typically it's chronic. Chronic means it lasts a long time. So you don't want that. It messes with your whole life. It's bothersome. It hurts you. It can hurt you when you sleep. It can keep you up. When you're moving, when you're sitting, when you're getting up, it's just no fun. So I'm going to go over a couple of things, 2 stretches and 2 exercises that should cover most of the problems that cause back pain, and I'll explain why they cause back pain as well as I'm doing it. What causes back pain most often, and it's not always, but most often, is what's called anterior pelvic tilt. So if you can see my hands, anterior pelvic tilt is like this. See, my butt's kind of pooched out, and the front part of my hips and tilt forward or anteriorly, and my butt kind of sticks out. So what happens is we sit all day long, especially if you have a desk job or you're in the computer or whatever it is. You know, we as Americans, we're not out in the field, agriculture, we're not hunting, we're not moving a lot. We're sitting driving in our cars, we're sitting at the desk. So you're sitting, your hips are bent 90 degrees, your knees are bent 90 degrees. What happens is these shorten and these shorten. And what happens is it pulls on your pelvis. So the hip flexors connect to the front part of your hip, the front part of your femur, and then go through your pelvis and connects to the anterior part of your low back. So when they shorten, they pull forward, pull your lower back forward like this. And that puts a lot of pressure on your spine, on your vertebrae, and it can make the muscles in your back weak. It just puts you out of order. So I'm gonna teach you a stretch for that stretcher. And we're gonna stretch the hamstrings. The hamstrings connect from the back of the knee all the way up to the back of the pelvis, and they pull on your hips downward. So if you have tight hip flexors and you have tight hamstrings, they offset each other, and that's not good. Every time you take a step, it pulls your back into a posterior pelvic tilt. And if you're already in anterior pelvic tilt, it's just going to aggravate it even more. So I'm going to show you a stretch for this, and then I'm going to show you, it's not only important that you stretch the muscles that are tight, but you have to strengthen the opposite muscle group in order to keep those muscles stretched. And I'll go over that in just a second. So let me show you the stretches that we're going to do first. We're going to stretch your hip flexor first, then we're going to stretch your hamstrings second. So the hip flexor is going to be like this. You're going to be in a half kneeling position. Basically, this is 90 degrees here. This is 90 degrees here. This is 90 degrees or so here. Okay. And what you'll do is, a lot of people, when they stretch the hip flexors, they want to go like this. They want to just lean forward, and you can feel the stretch right here. But what'll happen is you'll arch your low back, and you put pressure on your low back, which we don't want. We don't want to make it worse. So what you'll do is you're going to imagine that you're a scared dog and you're trying to hide your tail. All right, so you're going to go ahead and, oh, I'm scared. I'm going to pull my tail underneath me. So you posteriorly pelvic tilt your hips. Can you see that, Adrienne? Can you see what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay, good. So just like this, and then this right here, you'll feel this stretch right here. This is the iliopsoas muscle that you're stretching. And if you have problems with balance, if you have problems, okay, I can't do this, just make sure that your feet, this foot and this knee and foot, are on 2 different railroad tracks. Just make the railroad tracks wider, and that'll prevent you from losing your balance this way. Or you can hang on to something as well. You can hang on to the wall or a chair. That's fine too. But all you want to do is just hold this stretch for let's say 30 seconds to a minute, times 3 each side. And I have a saying: you cannot stretch too often. You can stretch too far. You can okay, I overstretch the muscle, but you can't stretch too often. So you can do this once a day. You can do it twice. You can do it 3 times a day, to stretch these muscles out. These are really strong, powerful muscles. They're going to take a long time to loosen up. And what I mean by long time is many sessions to loosen up. And so that's going to stretch this front part here. Now, in order to keep it stretched, you're going to work your glutes. In order to work your glutes, you're going to do what's called bridges. So this is a strength exercise, strength and endurance exercise. So what you'll do is you'll get on your back. You can see me. Yeah, you can see me. And what you'll do is your feet are about hip width apart with your feet pointing straight forward, and your knees are tracking over your feet. And what you'll do is you'll do the stretching first, and then you'll do this second. You'll squeeze your butt, and you want to imagine that there's a $1 bill or $100 bill between your cheeks, whatever makes you work hard. You're going to squeeze your butt from here. You're going to start here, squeeze your glutes, and then imagine you're raising your spine up off the ground like a bicycle chain. So one link comes off the ground. If you lift it up off the ground, one link comes off at a time. Well, that's going to be your vertebrae. So it's going to look like this. You're going to tuck your hips, pull your stomach in, tuck your hips underneath. You do a posterior pelvic tilt, and then lift one vertebrae at a time until you're straight from your knees to your shoulders. And then you reverse it, lightly touch it to the floor, lightly touch your buttocks to the floor, then come back up and squeeze, and then back down. And you just want to squeeze as hard as you can. You want to feel it right here. If you start to feel this, and you're doing this exercise, you start to feel it in your low back, your hip flexors are not flexed, they're not stretched out enough. And you want to stop just short of that. You don't want to make the aggravation worse. So you just want to make sure that you feel it just right here. So if you can only go to here before you start to feel it in your back, only go to here. It'll get stronger and stronger and stronger, and this will loosen up more and more and more. And you'll be able to eventually do it to where it's parallel, or it's a straight line. So that's one tip. I want to make sure that you don't feel it in your low back when you do this. You should just feel this in your glutes. Again, if you feel it in your low back, don't go up that high. So that's how that's one way of getting this loose, and to keep it loose is by strengthening your glutes. Now, the next exercise, or the next stretch I want to do is lengthen out your hamstrings. I'm going to use a stretching strap. You can use a towel, which is fine. It's okay. Stretching strap has little loops in it, and it's just easier to grab with your hands because you're going to be holding this for a little while, and the hands tend to get tired with a towel. But this is what you're going to do. You're going to go ahead and you're going to put the stretching strap over the foot, into the foot. And I like to cue my clients to put the stretching strap in front of the arch of the foot. And what I mean by that, why I have them do that, is because you might as well stretch your hamstring, your calf, this muscle at the same time as your hamstring. And that's what will do that. As opposed to if you were to put it right here, you're just going to get your hamstring. You're not going to necessarily get your calf at the same time. So put it slightly in front of the arch of the foot. You can see how this would be easy on your hands. I'm putting it through the loops, and then I just go ahead and bring straighten the knee, and then just bring the heel or the foot as close to my chest as I can. And you're just going to hold it. Again, this is 30 seconds to a minute times 3 each side. And you're just going to breathe. This is static stretching, just like the hip flexor, static stretching. There's different ways of stretching, but I'm just showing you this one this time. And you're just going to hold that. And then you switch sides, of course. Now, in order to keep that, what you want to do is you want to strengthen your abdominals. Okay. There's several exercises to do that you can do to strengthen your abdominals, but I'm going to show you a crunch. And there's several ways to do a crunch, but I'm going to show you hands on your thighs. You're going to go ahead and this is going to work your neck as well. Might as well get that involved. You're going to press your lower back into the floor, pull your stomach in a little bit, put your hands on the top of your thighs, make a double chin. So you're going to press your chin into the floor or try and flatten your neck against the floor. And then you're going to put your chin on your chest, and you're going to reach up and try and put your hands over your knees, and then back down. And then back down. And that's a crunch. You can do 10 to 15, 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15, and that'll strengthen your stomach, and that'll that'll pull your hips, the front of your hips up. So that'll pull it'll lessen distance between your rib cage and your pelvis by pulling your hips forward up so that you're into more posterior pelvic tilt, and it'll keep you there. So that's how you get rid of low back. Those are four things you need to do. You can do those. You can actually do those every day. And again, the stretching you can do multiple times a day. The exercise you can do once a day would be fine. And it'll take a little while, say 4 to 6 to 8 weeks for you to eventually get rid of your low back pain. If that's what's causing, if it's because of anterior pelvic tilt, that's just going to get rid of it. Do you have any questions?
That was actually my question, how long it takes to get rid of it.
Yeah. So don't be discouraged if you don't see results, right away. And say, why am I not, I've been doing this for a couple of weeks. Why is it not getting better? Just keep doing it, and you'll get better range of motion. Your glutes will engage more, your hips will loosen up, and it'll stop pulling on your low back. And it'll actually be a pleasure to walk too, because I'll bet you that you walk with a slight forward lean at the hip. And I saw a basketball player the other day in the WNBA coming down the court, dribbling the ball, and she was so anterior pelvic tilt. I just knew she was going to be in pain. If she's not already in pain, she will be. As you age, it wears on the discs.
Yeah, and I would also say don't be discouraged when it comes to battling belly fat, essentially, because that is an area that seems to be so stubborn to remove, like no matter how hard we try. And while a little bit of fat around the midsection is perfectly normal, excess belly fat can actually increase the risk of serious health issues like diabetes, heart disease, inflammation, and or lower back pain. So as a registered dietitian nutritionist, I'm here to guide you through practical strategies to reduce belly fat in a healthy and sustainable way. One of the things to start first off, though, is to understand the types of belly fat. So there are two types. Subcutaneous fat is the layer of fat directly beneath your skin. So this is like where you can pinch an inch and such. That can be bothersome for more cosmetic reasons, but it's not really as dangerous as visceral fat. That is the fat that surrounds your internal organs. And this type is more concerning because it's linked to the metabolic diseases like insulin resistance and heart disease. Now, the good news is that the steps to lose it overlap with general healthy living. So you're going to benefit. Win-win kind of situation here. One thing you want to do is focus on whole foods, not necessarily fad diets, because these, crash diets or extreme calorie restrictions, certain weight loss drugs might help you lose weight in the short term, but they're not necessarily sustainable. And this can lead to gaining the weight back, plus usually some extra. Anybody who's done these yo-yo diets or those types of things will notice that that's what happens. So instead of focusing on quick fixes, let's build a diet that's basically rich in whole unprocessed foods. And this includes fiber-rich foods that will help you stay fuller longer and support your gut health. It includes things like lean protein that helps build muscle and keep hunger at bay. It also includes things like healthy fats, like avocados, nuts, seeds. Those kinds of things provide the healthy fat that actually helps your heart and reduce inflammation too. Another thing we want to do is not just add in more good things, but we do want to consider limiting added sugars and refined carbohydrates, because one of the main drivers of belly fat is having those excess sugar and refined carbohydrates. These foods cause spikes in our blood sugar, which causes more insulin to be released, and oftentimes it stores more fat around the belly. So I would definitely watch out for sugary drinks. I don't know about you guys, but I would prefer to drink or to eat my calories versus drink them. So avoiding things like sodas, energy drinks, even fruit juices are packed with added sugar sometimes too. These are liquid calories that don't necessarily fill you up for the long term, and these can contribute to belly fat over time. Also, not all carbs are bad, especially if they're vegetables, but white bread, pastries, your donuts, processed snacks, these things are lower in fiber and high in sugars usually. This can cause weight gain, particularly around the belly out area. So you might want to have carbohydrates like I mentioned, vegetables, quinoa, brown rice, oats. Those have more fiber in them. And then we definitely want to mix cardio and strength training. And you've probably heard Ken talk about how often to do these kinds of things, but definitely cardio, whether it's walking, if that's where you're starting out, jogging, swimming, whatever you find fun is going to be more sustainable. And strength training is something that a lot of us could probably use more of, and that boosts our metabolism and helps reduce fat. So very good things to add in. Now, you can be doing all of these good things with your diet and exercise, but if you are super stressed out, that's going to wreak havoc on your waistline because the cortisol levels are going to be higher too. When you're stressed, your body produces more cortisol and that promotes fat storage, particularly around the belly. So you definitely want to consider things like mindfulness practices, deep breathing, yoga, meditation. You can do some thought work around stuff, and definitely more sleep if you're not getting enough, because that can trigger higher levels of cortisol and lead to weight gain too. Another thing to look at is balancing hormones, because they play a significant role in where fat is stored in our bodies. And if you're struggling with belly fat, it's worth investigating some hormonal imbalances that you might have, especially if in your 40s or beyond. Hormones like insulin, cortisol, even estrogen can influence belly fat retention. So definitely get that checked out. And the last part, but not necessarily the least important, is avoiding alcohol overconsumption, because alcohol can be a major contributor to belly fat. You've probably heard the beer belly, people with bigger bellies out there. It adds extra calories and it encourages your body to store more fat around the abdomen. So if you do drink, try to limit it to moderate levels, which is considered 1 drink per day for women and 2 for men. You also just might want to try cutting it out entirely for some period of time and just see how your body responds. You might get way better results than if you are even having those lower amounts. Remember to stay consistent and patient, because belly fat did not appear overnight. It's not going to disappear overnight either. Same thing with back pain. And the key to long-term success, as Ken will say, is consistency. It's not also about looking better in our clothes. When we reduce our belly fat, it's improving our health. It's reducing the risk of chronic diseases. And really, it's not that hard. It's eating more whole foods. It's regular movement. It's stress reduction, some better sleep, healthy habits. And all of these can create small sustainable changes that lead to long-lasting results that the fad diets, medications, all that kind of stuff can't really give us. So hopefully that encourages you all to try something a little bit new today and beat your belly fat. Any questions, Ken?
You know, I have a comment. No question, but I have a comment. There's a story of a guy who was drinking a Coke. He had a Coke a day and he decided to get rid of his Coke. He lost 10 pounds in a year.
Yes, I've heard of similar like studies actually being done where they talk about the average amount of pounds lost just by going a year without sodas. And it's like, I think like 10 to 12 or something like that. So it's incredible how much that can pack on, you know?
Amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
So we'll just keep drinking our water, won't we, Ken?
We will. Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Please put into the comments below if there's anything that you are going to try to either fix your anterior pelvic tilt, your low back pain, anything dietary wise, whether it's cutting back on alcohol or being sober curious. We would love to hear it. Also, please like, subscribe, and if you like the work that we're putting out in this channel, please support it through the link below, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Take care.
Bye.